Hi everyone, Kirby fan here, just with a quick little message before we start the video today. I'm making this video for Kirby Month 3, a month where I do my best to do daily uploads of videos specifically about Kirby. And this year's Kirby Month is about taking a more analytical approach than I typically do, and making the videos more specific. In doing this, to prove my points about Kirby, I do talk about Fire Emblem a lot. Because this is Kirby Month, I do have timestamps set, so if you would rather skip the Fire Emblem stuff, I understand. I had pointed this out at the start, but some people I do notice are confused about why Fire Emblem is here, so there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll be sure to make the joke about that in the video. Let's get started. Spin-offs for video games have the potential to be some of the coolest games ever. You take a franchise, typically one that has a well-established formula by that point, and you basically do whatever you want with it. Make a totally different kind of game, make something similar but with a different story, it doesn't matter. The experience is radically different, but it still feels like a part of the franchise that it came from. It could be because of the characters, or the gameplay, or the style. Different spin-offs work for different reasons, but seeing good ones is always exciting. And hey, here's something that both Kirby and Fire Emblem have in common. They have great spin-offs. I also think that they work for pretty similar reasons, although in Kirby's case, what we define as a spin-off is pretty specific. Considering there are different kinds of Kirby platformers, I'm going to define a main series game, as is to say not a spin-off, as the games shown on screen. This is a video in and of itself, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. I am shilling for those comments. Also, like and ring the notification bell after subscribing to be notified whenever I upload. Help me reach my year-end goal of 2,500 subscribers, all that stuff. Anyway, the reason why the spin-offs for these are so fun is that both of them found a very strong foundation early on and stuck with it. Each game offers a ton of new ideas, but the core of how they play has largely stayed the same. I do not think that this is a bad thing, as I said before, but when you come across something that totally changes the formula, it's exciting. I mean, Kirby Golf? Who would want to play that? Oh! There are certain ones that you can specifically talk about, like Fire Emblem Heroes, the gacha game. What?! Let's go! 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 What?! That was my free! That was my free summon! But in general, there's such a surprise factor when you play a really well-made spin-off, even one that looks kinda trashy on the outset. To stick with Fire Emblem in that regard, Tokyo Mirage, definitely does not look the best, but it's actually pretty fun. Also, they made Tiki Hatsune Miku, good call. Of course, Fire Emblem doesn't have that many. While on the other hand, if you've basically played any Kirby spin-off, you know I could have just made the video about Kirby, not spent the 30 seconds or however long I spent on Fire Emblem. There are so many iconic Kirby spin-offs that took the franchise in such a weird, different direction. I already talked about Dream Course, Kirby Golf, but there's also Tilt and Tumble, Air Ride, Canvas Curse, Epic Yarn, Fighters 2, even Mass Attack. When it came out, everybody liked it. They considered it an instant classic. It probably still is, but it's just, you know, speedrunners don't like it. That's what I've gathered, at least. Kirby Air Ride is definitely the biggest spin-off out of all of them, and the reason is another perk of spin-offs. You can take franchises that are typically single-player, or they're at least single-player focused, and you make them multiplayer. If you're going to make a racing game, you need to add multiplayer. That's just a given. But the main draw of Kirby Air Ride, City Trial, capitalizes perfectly on this. After dropping you in the city, you collect stat boosters and various vehicles. I know they're called stars, just work with me here. Within a time limit, and battle it out in a stadium event, basically a minigame, when you're all done. Because of the visuals, Kirby's movement, and the copy abilities, as well as some of the vehicles being taken directly from other Kirby games, it still feels enough like Kirby. It's the same approach with Dream Course, a golf game for absolute maniacs. This has multiplayer too, and let me tell you, it's some of the most fun multiplayer I've ever played. Any game where your only goal is to win and the best way to win is to specifically mess with the other player is an instant classic in my book. If you were here for last Kirby Month, you know how big of a fan I am of this specific game. And if you weren't here for last Kirby Month, there's the playlist. Go binge. Does this mean that all spin-offs are perfect? No, and while I don't think either Kirby or Fire Emblem have any major offenders, they're not all great. I gotta bring up Heroes again. You know, I like the game and everything, but it's gotcha. It's the morality. But even on the Kirby end, there are the more bland spin-offs like Block Ball. Block Ball gets most of its bonus points for having amazing boss fights, and it does also have one of the better Game Boy soundtracks. There's a lot of variety here, and I love almost every single tune in the game. And there are some neat idea with the copy abilities, but it just reeks of blandness. Again, I talked about it during last year's Kirby Month, and a big surprise, it got ranked pretty low, so check out that video if you want to know more. With all the hubbub about Kirby spin-offs, one question remains. Why don't other franchises go off the walls with this stuff as Kirby does? Obviously, you have your Marios and your Sonics, but why not, for example, Fire Emblem? You can count on one hand how many Fire Emblem spin-offs there are. And the reason is actually pretty simple, and I kind of already answered it. What do Mario, Sonic, and Kirby all have in common? They're all platformers, and sticking platforming mascots into anything is much easier than most other kinds of games, mostly since platformers themselves thrive off of different playstyles. I do have to give Kirby spin-offs extra credit compared to others, even Mario and Sonic, for always going a step beyond, especially in regards to their quality. But if you want a reason why ideas like Kirby Golf are not that crazy and out of the norm, while Fire Emblem's weird experiments are Fire Emblem Warriors and Warriors, that's why. This video isn't really meant to compare the spin-offs. I mean, Kirby wins pretty handily, just based on the numbers, but rather to look at some of what they have to offer and enjoy the simple fact that they exist. There are good Kirby spin-offs that I didn't even talk about. There's Blowout Blast, Rainbow Curse, Kirby Fighters 1, I still like that game. And who could forget the aptly named Satellaview BS Fire Emblem? You name it. Are they all good? Maybe not, but are they all worth talking about? Absolutely. Kirby or Fire Emblem, doesn't matter. Even any other franchise. I want to know what your favorite spin-offs are and why. They're so experimental, and I love to talk about them. Also, I know this video is mostly about Kirby, but fight my +10 Nino and Heroes, I dare you.